What's going on YouTube? As more and more Americans buy compact crossovers, there are also more and more brands competing for those customers' hearts. The Toyota RAV4 and the Mazda CX-5 are two of the most well-received options. The RAV4 has been dominating the sales chart for years, and even though Mazda is a much smaller brand, its CX-5 has been receiving praise from experts for years. So as two of the best compact crossovers on the market, which one is the best option for your money? Let's go ahead and find out. So first off, to get things established here, let's quickly talk pricing for these two. Starting with the updated RAV4, we have the sporty yet high-end XSZ trim level. Toyota offers quite a few options, and our tester checked almost all of them, making its total price $41,985 after destination. Moving to the CX-5, we have the equivalently loaded model called Signature. This trim comes standard with everything, so the destination charge is the only add-on. Its total price is about $1,000 less than the Toyota at $41,025. Now this is going to be an objective comparison. We have done our best to weigh the points awarded throughout in major and minor categories, but at the end of the comparison, we will sum up with our thoughts and account for that small price difference. So when it comes to these designs, the RAV4 and CX-5 target completely different missions. The Toyota just got refreshed last year, and they've doubled down on their tough and boxy shape. The Mazda also got refreshed last year, and it features a smooth, premium look. Comment your preference below, but we won't be grading the designs to keep things objective in this comparison. In terms of the lighting, both have unique advantages. For the headlights, both are fully LED, projector style, but only the Mazda has adaptive abilities. Neither have fog lamps, and the lights you see on the RAV4 are just extra LED accents. Continuing to the sides, the RAV4 is about 2 inches longer than the CX-5, and design-wise it features a unique two-tone roof, something not available on the CX-5. Moving on to the wheels, the CX-5 has larger 19-inch alloy wheels, while the RAV4 has solid black 18 inches. And then heading out back, we continue to see a very premium look for the Mazda in a sport theme on the Toyota. Features-wise, they have spoilers, exposed wipers, and integrated exhaust tips, but all elements of the taillights are LED on the CX-5, while the RAV4 still has some incandescent elements. For those of you interested in towing small trailers, the CX-5 can handle up to 2,000 pounds versus 1,750 in the RAV4 hybrid. Now checking out some of the individual odd and end features, both of their mirrors have heating and blind spot monitoring, with the Mazda having the ability to power fold as well. Both models also come standard with all the available major active safety features, and their warranties are the same with the exception of Toyota having complimentary maintenance for the first 2 years of ownership. But things are going to get even more interesting on the inside, so let's get into that. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
Now on to the interiors. So approaching both models, you will find smart entry systems as expected. One difference to note though is that the CX-5 doesn't have a sensor behind the door handle, so you have to press the button to unlock. Now once you open up the doors, you'll find handsome interiors, with a few similarities in the overall design. But there are a lot more differences than similarities when it comes to everything else, so let's dig in first with the seats. The RAV4 has Toyota's Softex leatherette, but the CX-5 Signature comes with premium Nappa leather seats, which is one of the nicest grades of leather available. Dark brown is the only color choice on this version of the Mazda, and black is the only option on this version of the RAV4, and they both have 10 ways of power adjustment, memory, and heating. Seat ventilation is included on the Signature CX-5 and is not available on the RAV4 unless you get the limited trim level. Now once we actually climb inside the cabins, we can check out the major point category of material quality. Mazda has long been known for making very premium interiors, and despite the age of this generation, it still remains ahead of most of the competition, including this RAV4. It's using padded leatherette materials across all the door trims, top of the dash, center console, and even real wood accents. The RAV4 still has a nice cabin, but it doesn't feel near luxury like the Mazdas. Once you fire the two crossovers up, you'll see a half-digital cluster on the Mazda, and the new 12.3-inch full digital cluster on the RAV4. The graphics on this display look quite nice, but Mazda fights back with a detailed head-up display. They both have heated, leather-wrapped steering wheels along with rain-sensing wipers. But moving on to another major point category, let's talk interior storage. Toyota really emphasized this when they designed the RAV4, which is why it has a massive center console, large front bin, and even a passenger storage shelf. In comparison, the Mazda is less generous. Taking a look at the shifters next, both are sticking with traditional ones, and only the CX-5 has paddle shifters. Once in reverse, both are rocking 360-degree cameras, which take up the entire screen. As far as climate, both have dual-zone automatic setups with physical controls. And as far as audio, we have a Bose Centerpoint sound system and a JBL system. Let's compare them. Speaker count isn't everything, because the Bose system in the CX-5 provides a substantially better listening experience than the JBL. Alright, so now let's talk about the displays. With Toyota's latest round of updates, the display has grown ever so slightly larger than the Mazda's, at 10.5 inches versus 10.25 inches. The important difference is not the size though, but the control. The RAV4 has a touchscreen, while the Mazda's display can only be controlled via a knob beside the shifter. Both have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but the other important difference is the fact that they run wirelessly on the RAV4's display only. As we wrap up the front of the cabins, the RAV4 has a couple more advantages. Both have auto-dimming mirrors with home-link remotes, but only the Toyota's is a camera mirror system when you flip the switch. It also has the optional panoramic sunroof, which is something not offered on the CX-5. Now heading on to the rear areas, things are heating up even more. The provided specs say that the CX-5 has more rear legroom, but we actually measured the distance from Mason's knee to the seat back adjusted to Drew's 5'8" driving position, and the RAV4 certainly has more legroom. Headroom is pretty much equal though. As far as features back here, both models have rear vents and USB ports for charging devices, but only the CX-5 has heated rear seats. Moving out back, the two crossovers have power tailgates, but hands-free access is a Toyota exclusive. Undoubtedly though, the single biggest consideration between these two that you should consider is how much cargo capacity is enough for you. That's because the CX-5 is one of the smaller offerings in the segment, maxing out at 59 cubic feet, while the RAV4 is one of the larger options at 69.8 cubic feet. For those of you keeping track, that's about 16% more cargo capacity. Alright, we're done with the interiors now, so it's time to take this close comparison out on the street. As you've seen throughout this comparison, these two have very distinct advantages and weaknesses compared to each other, and that will definitely continue under the hoods. That's because the upgraded engine option on the RAV4 is a hybrid system, but in the CX-5, it's a powerful 2.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. As you can probably infer by the power figures, the CX-5 is very fast for the segment and has the acceleration advantage for those of you who like to go fast. level of torque really propels you up to speed. So as you can probably tell by how quickly we accelerated there, we've got the 2.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. Mazda uses this engine in a lot of products, and it makes a lot of power. 256 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque. Really good numbers for this type of vehicle. As we've discussed in the past, really no one much does an upgraded engine option in this segment anymore. They maybe have a hybrid available or something like that, but they don't offer something with this much power. So that's kind of one of the things that makes this a more premium alternative to, you know, your more run-of-the-mill options, is having all that power and all that torque. Alright, so there we go. Off to the races with the RAV4 Hybrid. Now, like we mentioned at the spec dump, actually the RAV4 Hybrid is more powerful than the traditional gas powertrain option.
Not bad whatsoever. I mean, this is one of the faster options in the segment. You know, of course, it's not like a CX-5 turbo or anything, not quite to that level.
As far as the transmissions, the RAV4 utilizes an eCVT, and the Mazda uses an old-school 6-speed automatic. Both of them have standard all-wheel drive systems. As far as the transmission is concerned, just like in years past, we do continue to have a 6-speed automatic transmission. And like I've said in past reviews as well, yes, 6 is less than 8 or 10, as you may know. But it's a very smooth transmission. And I think that really ultimately is the biggest thing, because, you know, most of the time, it's not really something that you're going to notice. It is pretty responsive, and it's nice and smooth, versus some of the other transmissions maybe have a bunch of speeds, but they get a little confused at times. So I definitely don't mind this transmission at all. Now, when it comes to getting power to the ground, you do have standard all-wheel drive with the Toyota hybrid system here on the RAV4. That's because you have the electric motor on the back that can kick in and give you that extra traction when needed, and power is going to be routed through an eCVT. Let's talk a bit about sound. Engine sound is very different, since the CX-5 has a nice powerful growl, but the RAV4 hybrid sounds strained, even though it doesn't feel that way. And speaking of sound, once the engines have quieted down after acceleration and you've made it up to highway speed, you're probably wondering how quiet they are. Tested at 55 miles an hour on our local roads, the CX-5 tested quite a bit quieter.
Now that we're getting up to 55, let's do our signature sound level test to see how quiet this cabin is. We have settled in at 56.7 decibels as our official Car Confections sound level reading at 50. I'm sitting at, switch on me last second, at 55 decibels even for our sound level reading.
Now let's talk about one of my favorite elements, driving dynamics. This stands out so much for the CX-5, which seems to have more in common with German vehicles than the typical compact crossover. While this isn't the most important thing to most buyers in the segment, and the RAV4 is plenty capable itself, the CX-5 is very agile and has great feeling steering. And of course, we can't let this review go by without talking about one of the consistent best things about a Mazda, and that's the feel behind the wheel. Of course, in this category of vehicle, super sporty performance is not the number one thing people are looking for, but it's really just a great bonus that I like to have here on the Mazdas, because you can go around corners like that and you just have such a nice, tight, balanced feel. Mazda really sweats the details when it comes to driving dynamics and handling, and they make sure that even vehicles that aren't focused on that still have great handling, and especially the steering as well. It's just so fast It has a nice heft to it. It really surprises you when you get behind the wheel every time that a vehicle in this class can actually be fun to drive. The trade-off of the flat CX-5 handling is that it is sprung tighter, and that means that the RAV4 rides a bit smoother and takes bumps better.
Alrighty, and now we've finally turned on our designated highway stretch, and this is where I really want to spend a little bit of time talking about how good this RAV4 rides. Now, over the last 7 days, we have driven this vehicle quite a lot. You know, I had a wedding to go to, so I drove it about 2 hours away and then road tripped back, so we've been in this vehicle for many hours at this point this week, and I have to say I'm very impressed with the ride quality of this RAV4. It really just does a phenomenal job of soaking up the bumps. I was on a very rough patch of road during my drive, and it did a great job. Also, I will say the seat is very soft and supportive. You'll notice that over several hours of riding in this vehicle, so I'm very happy with the ride quality, and that's something that really is very important for the RAV4 because this is now the American family choice. Instead of the Camry, they're actually picking the RAV4 now for their family vehicle, and this is going to be a perfect car for you to take on a road trip, that's for sure.
But speed and performance have their trade-offs, and fuel economy is where you might start to see the virtues of hybrid systems. The RAV4 Hybrid gets an excellent rating of 40 mpg combined, which is 16 miles per gallon more than the CX-5. Furthermore, the CX-5 recommends premium fuel for full power output, so it's safe to say it would be the far more expensive option at the pump. Before we wrap up, let's recap by saying that the RAV4 is less than $1,000 more expensive than the CX-5, so that doesn't qualify it for any value points by our scale. But as always, I'll remind you that if money matters more to you, then feel free to add your own adjustment for this part. So there you have it. The objective winner is the Toyota RAV4, but who is your winner? Well, the CX-5 should be your winner for a few reasons. So if you value driving dynamics, of course, the Mazda is basically unrivaled in that regard. Also, if you want to go fast, you've got that 2.5 turbo that the RAV4 obviously does not have, but also most of the competition doesn't offer any type of up-level, fast, turbocharged engine. And then, of course, if you desire a more premium cabin as well.
Now, the RAV4 should be your winner and is obviously the choice of a lot of Americans because of the following reasons. First of all, you have pretty much ultimate cargo space and utility for the family. We lived with this vehicle for an entire 7 days. It's super practical. The cup holders fit just right. There's room for everything you're going to need to bring along. Also, number two, the hybrid system has excellent fuel economy. As you saw in the review, it has way better fuel economy than the Mazda CX-5, which is going to save you a lot of money over the ownership of the vehicle. Additionally, you have better technology in this car, wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. Just the touchscreen instead of the infotainment knob and stuff is really going to put it over the edge when it comes to technology. But guys, that's where we're going to leave off this comparison video between the Mazda CX-5 and Toyota RAV4. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below if you're not already a part of this family. By joining this family, you're going to get access to a ton of different automotive content. We do weekly comparisons as well as pretty much daily car reviews, so you won't want to miss out on that. If you're already a fan and subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.